Today we have very big news regarding Origin and ACANA, and so if you are feeding one of these two brands, at least here in the UK, we have some pretty big price increases. Now, it isn't just only the price hikes that we are going to talk about. So in order for us to understand what's really happening with the brands, we need to look back a fair few months, where Mars, the chocolate company, yes, acquired Origin and ACANA, and their parent company Champion Pet Foods out of Canada. Now, Champion Pet Foods wanted an exit strategy and was only focalized on a very niche market. And when Mars has acquired this company, what we see is an internationalization of these two brands, and with them we have been seeing some pretty severe changes, at least to the ACANA recipe. But let's start with some of these price hikes, shall we? It's important for you to understand that Champion Pet Foods doesn't directly sell to the UK. I don't know what it will be in your country of origin or where you are watching this video from, but here in the UK, a company called Burn Pet Foods has acquired the rights to supply these two companies, these two pet foods. And it's important for you to understand that there is no direct link between Champion Pet Foods and the UK market. Everything is done through Burn Pet Foods. And so the email reads, and this is something quite confidential that people don't normally share. However, this is an independent channel. Dear business partner, we are writing to let you know that the prices for many Origin and ACANA products will be increasing from Monday the 12th of Feb 2024. Champion Pet Foods is committed to producing the highest quality pet food that pet owners have come to expect from Origin and ACANA. Champion packs as much nutrition from fresh, raw or whole ingredients as it can from partners around the world that meets its quality standards. And then it goes on to say that some of these ingredients are going up in price, and so therefore you need to pay for them. Just to give you some context, if you are an Origin customer, a big bag of Origin Original is going to set you back 95 quid. A big bag of regional reg dot food is going to set you back £123, and a bag of Origin puppy is going to set you back £97. If you are an ACANA customer, the Prairie Poultry, which is the introductory recipe, the poultry recipe, will be priced at £57, with the red meat and the wild coast, which is the fish recipe, will also set you back £65. And so some of these foods are really hiking up in price, and this is something you really need to be aware of. Why do you need to be aware of? Because Mars have a very poor track record, or very good track record, depending how you want to phrase it and depending how you want to look at it, by hiking prices, cutting down the amount of food you get in a bag, and at the same time diluting down the recipes. As by now you probably know, because I made another video on this channel, ACANA diluted down their recipe and added pearl barley to the recipe. Now, if Champion Pet Foods had something that distinguished themselves among all these new pet food manufacturers, were the whole prey ratios, something that's quite now widespread within the pet food industry, but it was quite novel when it came out. And this was the inclusion of some of those organ meats, some of those cartilage, a lot of those little tidbits that are so incredibly powerful and beneficial to our pets. The inclusion of heart, the inclusion of extra offal, the inclusion of extra cartilage, the inclusion of extra tendons and things like that, that made ACANA and Origin so popular. And since Mars took them over, they have started diluting down the brand ACANA this is, to a point where, for example, it is no longer sensible for us to stock it, because I'm not going to sell something for more money and a worse recipe, for example. So I would never do that to my consumers. With respect to Origin, however, we cannot see any dilution. The recipe is pretty good, the ingredients are top notch, and everything is tickety-boo in terms of the quality of the ingredients, which again is arguably the most important thing whenever you are looking at a pet food. I just think that whilst it is actually correct that things are going up, the fact that some of these companies are diluting down certain recipes and at the same time hiking up prices and passing them on to you, it's simply not acceptable. The one thing I don't really understand about Champion Pet Foods, which is now part of the Mars Corporation, is if you have a portfolio of pet foods, in Mars's case, where you sell a lot of low quality dog foods, and understandably some of these foods such as ACANA and Origin have been taking market share from you and are now potentially damaging your reputation and eating up your sales, it doesn't make sense for you to acquire that very company and worsen the food. It really makes zero sense. If you are going to acquire something like Origin or ACANA, you would have been a lot better off to not even stay with the same ingredients, but better the ingredients, better the recipe, better everything that goes into those foods, instead of actually diluting down the brands, diluting down the ingredients, worsening everything and hiking up the price. It simply does not make sense. What makes sense in pet food is for us to get better products, not worse products. And so the one thing I want you to understand about this whole game of dog and cat food is that companies will make whatever we buy. And if we see that a product, a perfectly fine product, starts becoming a lot worse over time, we simply should stop buying that product. And that is the way of capitalism, my friend. So if you are not happy, as we are not happy with ACANA's new leadership, you should stop feeding ACANA. If a lot of these recipes and a lot of these ingredients potentially in certain dog foods are going to start worsening, we should also stop feeding that food, because the industry will change with our dollars, and if we stop spending in a certain way, they will stop making that food. So my biggest pet peeve with Champion Pet Foods, the dilution of the ACANA brand and the whole prey ratios. And with Origin, I can only hope that they stop hiking up prices and they keep that recipe, they keep those ingredients as good as possible, because that food is actually very, very good in its current form. In its current form, it hasn't really changed. And that is a wonderful, wonderful set of ingredients. So we can only hope that they do not change the ingredients. What do you think about this whole thing? Do you think this is a good thing, a bad thing? Are you happy with the whole direction? I would love to see your comments down below.